Okay, students. So, like I mentioned, we talked about the alphabet lines already. So, how are we going to incorporate our alphabet lines, and how do we start doing that in AutoCAD? In AutoCAD, we're going to use a command called layers. And as far as the layers, before I get to that, you're going to look for a handout on your class share that says layers and pen settings. That's already in the class share already. So the layers and pen settings that we're going to be handout that I give you, it's all this information here. For now, the only part that you need to be worried about is this part right in here, the mechanical CAD layers. So as far as the mechanical CAD layers, these are the layers that I'm having you use. I will tell you these are very structured in that if and when you guys go work for an architect, they have their own layers. Their layers have different colors. They might have different line types and everything. So you really need to follow their format. In this case, in my class, this is the format I want you to use for your layers. So notice that we have object lines, we have hidden lines and center lines. And as far as the color schemes and everything, they do represent different things. The object lines that I mentioned on the last video has is representing objects. So the object has a proper color, a line type, and because the object lines, according to the alphabet of lines, are thicker, they have different line weights. So notice this one is thicker, and the other lines that we're going to be working with our drawings for now are the center lines. So the center line has a different color, okay? A different line type. This is going to be center 2, and a different line weight. All right. So these are the two objects, I'm sorry, the two layers we're going to be using for our AutoCAD drawings. We're going to be going back to the drawings you guys did last week and start incorporating these layers and put them in the right layer structure. The layers for now are in different colors on your AutoCAD screen, even though once you print it, it's going to be in black and white. But the reason we do that on the AutoCAD screen is you can just graphically look at it and say, oh, that's a center line just because it looks red and it looks center. Okay. But the colors really don't mean anything on paper because they're not going to print in color. They are going to print in black and white. Okay. So how do we start using these layers in AutoCAD? In AutoCAD, you're gonna go to your drawing, and I do need you to do these to all your drawings, and we're gonna go to the layers command. The layers can be brought up either by clicking on layer properties up on top, or by simply typing in the word LA. Either one works. I like to type my commands, which is why I use the LA. But if you want to click on this button, layer properties, either one works. Okay. So whether you realize it or not, you have been drawing in a layer already. The layer you've been working with is called layer 0. Okay. So layer 0 is the first layer that exists in AutoCAD. It's in any AutoCAD drawing, you'll find it. And once we get going with the layers, you can actually delete layers and rename them. AutoCAD does not let you rename or change or delete layer 0 because it's a default layer. So you really can't change it or even delete it. So how do we create a new layer? To create the new layer, you're going to click on this first button that says new layer. And then that first layer, we're going to type in the way I have it here on the handout. Okay. Now, does it have to be spelled like this, Mr. Torres? Yes, that's exactly how it needs to be spelled with the space and everything. Of course, we can't underline, but it just needs to be in all caps too. Object, no dash, space, lines. Okay. So I'm going to go over here and make the change of this layer. And I'm going to call it object lines. Okay. Enter. So right now, object lines has a layer color of white. What color am I asking you to? Well, I pretty much give you a color of the layer. In this case, I want the object lines to be blue. So I'm going to go over here, and as far as object lines, what color? I click right here where it says white, and I can make this white if I wanted to. I'm going to click on white, and this will give me all the colors that are available for my AutoCAD drawing. I will tell you, I usually just use these first 8 or 9 colors. Okay, those are mostly the ones that we use. You have the option of using all these other colors. In the industry, you use a lot more different colors because you have a lot more line work and geometry in industry type drawings. But right now, we're just using basic drawings. So I'm just going to go with the color blue, which is this one right in here. Okay, good. Okay. The line type, that's the one I was telling you that sometimes you'll need a hidden line, a center line, and all that. Okay. So right now, continuous is the line type that I'm going to be using for my object line. And there it is, as far as the object line itself. And then the last thing, this 0.7 millimeters, is the line weight. So I'm going to leave this as continuous for my line type. And how I get to that is I just simply come over here, click on it, and change the line type. This one stays to continuous. And then the line weight. The line weight right here, it says default, which is default. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change the line weight to what I'm asking for. In this case, it's 0.7 millimeters for that object line. So this object line layer has already been set up correctly. Okay, and I can go ahead and create my center line layer if I wanted to, but let me go ahead and go back to the drawing so I can change these layers now from layer 0 over to the object lines layer. How do I do that? Several different ways. If I hit escape a couple of times on my keyboard, I can just simply highlight a few of these things. These are called grips whenever you select a line with no command. Those are called grips. And by doing that, I can come up here to the list of layers, click on here, and just simply change the layer over to my object lines. Okay. Could I have put a big window around everything and selected it and change it to object lines? Yes. Yes, I can. Okay. But let me just show you some other things. Once you have one of these layers set, another command I can show you is called match properties, MA, match properties. What am I going to match? It asks me for my source object. This is my source object here. My destination objects are going to be everything else. So then that way, I'm just simply matching properties. A very nice command. Plus, I can also put a big window around everything to match properties. Okay, very neat little command. I'm going to go back to my layers. I'm going to go ahead and create my next layer, which is going to be my center lines. Notice that I'm capitalizing them just like they are on the handout that I'm giving you. The color of the center lines is going to be red. The line type. Okay. Center lines, and this is very particular, is asking for a center to. Center to. So I'm going to go click on the list of line types, and I'm going to go look for center to. Unfortunately, it's not on my list. Okay. So we do have center. This is not the one that I want. So I'm going to go and load the right line type. So I'm going to click on load out here at the bottom. And then I'm going to go load all my different line types, by the way, that I can load. And there it is on the list, alphabetically speaking, center to. Hit OK. Now it becomes part of my list. I select center to, hit OK. And the line type, I'm sorry, the line weight of center to is 0.25. So I'm going to go here to 0.25, hit OK. And now I have my center lines layer created. Okay. I don't know if you know this or if you did this, you might have erased your center lines. Sorry, you're going to have to draw them in again. Not a very big deal, but just go ahead and draw in the lines. I'm going to snap to the center, CEN, enter, snap to the center point, and simply draw in the center lines. Draw it in right now, and then select it and change the layer. Or what you can also do is right now, whenever I'm drawing anything, it's going to come out on layer 0. Why? Because that's my current layer. So if I want to draw it in a center lines layer, I can click over here. I'm going to hit escape, get out of my commands, click in here, go to center lines, and then once I start drawing my line work, it'll come in on the right layer already. Some questions I get from some students. Just notice, how long should I make this little line extended past the drawing? This one is usually 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. How do I draw that? Once I have the line drawn, I can grip it, select this line, and simply extend it. And you'll see right here where it says 0.3257, just simply type in 0.25. That way it makes it nice and uniform, 0.25. Okay. You might tell yourself, well, Mr. Torres, I don't see the little line pattern. Why do I not see the line pattern? That's simply because the line is too small. It's not being drawn correctly. Let me just make sure I have my layer set up correctly. So it's not until the line is long enough, then you'll start seeing the little pattern as far as the line type. And interesting, why is it not coming out? Huh. I don't know how that happened. I'm using a student's drawing, so that one student might have adjusted these patterns, and it should be bilayered. That's why I can't see the little pattern on the center line. because this one, the line type, instead of it being by layer, which is a center to line type for that one, was forced to a different line type. Interesting. So glad I'm making that part of this video, because you need to see that. These need to be changed to by layer. These right in here under properties. That way they get drawn by the layer, how they are defined within the layer, which is why we couldn't see that little pattern. So this one student's drawing that I got somehow had clicked on here by accident, not a problem, and had made everything continuous. Okay. For now, you don't need to do that, but you could do that if you wanted to in the future. You can make them all different colors, still stay within the same layer in different colors. Okay. We don't need to do that, but just to show you, everything just needs to stay by layer. By layer. Okay.